Tap.
Hey everybody, welcome. I'm Bobby Siravo coming to you from iFit Golf out here in sunny California. And you're probably wondering, what the heck am I doing with a hammer and a golf club, right? Well, I'm here to tell you, you probably need to hold your golf club similar to the way you hold your hammer. Hey, for those of you that are watching on the replay, thanks very much. You know, you can always tap on the screen for hearts and replay. But what I really want to get to you today is if you can find a golf club close by, I'm going to show you how you want to grip this for ultimate power and control in your golf shots, okay? I was kind of inspired to do this story. I was reading a quick article about Troy Merritt, how he won the PGA Tour event this past week, and it was the simplest little tip he did with his hand position. It wasn't his grip, don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to take anything from that, but it was a way, just a little tip that helped him propel him to victory this week. And I thought, you know, people could learn just a little bit from their grip. There's so many great things out there in golf teaching right now, but just something simple as how you hold the club can mean and go a long way in how far you hit the golf ball, okay? So what I want to show you here is gripping this hammer, right? Instinctively, when you grip the hammer and you pound, you have your meaty part of your hand on top of the grip, so you can deliver the blow this way, okay? You would not grip the hammer this way or your hand on top that way to deliver a powerful blow. You'd want this meaty part of your hand on top. Well, guess what? That's how you want to hold the golf club. You have this meaty part of your hand on top of that shaft. Now, here's this great tip I learned about finding out if you are holding the club correctly or not. It's real simple to do. You take the club and you put it in your left hand, all right? Now, what you can do to find out if that club is in the proper grip is take these three fingers off the club in your thumb. If you're doing this correctly and holding the club correctly, that you could sit here all day long, keeping the club parallel to the ground. If it's incorrect, and say you have it too weak, the club will start tipping down towards the ground. The weight of the club head, I can't support it. And why that's important is when you get to the top of your swing, you want to have that meaty part of your hand underneath the shaft to support the golf club. That's how you have a proper grip. So, left hand on top, take those three fingers, take them off, and if the club is supported, just like that, then you have the club and it's held in its proper, powerful position, just like you'd have this hammer, right? Same idea. Boom, I can deliver power. Boom, this way. You can do the same with the golf club, holding it that way. So for those of you just joining, I'm showing you how to hold the golf club correctly, right? In its most powerful position, much like you hold a hammer. You know, I kind of did this test this morning with my kids. They grabbed a hammer. I just said, hammer some nails. How would you do it? They grabbed the club, the hammer, correctly and just use this type of motion. Instinctively, we want to grab a hammer the right way, but a lot of times golfers are grabbing the golf club in a position, a really weak position. Doesn't allow them to hit with strength or power. So that's why it's important to have that proper grip on there. One thing I like about Periscope that's really cool is the ability to engage. You know, I always watched different golf programs or anything in that matter that someone is delivering content, and you want them to cover maybe a question that you have, and you're waiting for them to get to that point, and they never do. They take it somewhere else, and you're like, gosh, he left me hanging. I thought he was going to tell me, you know, about this or about that. Well, that's what's great about Periscope. Since we're live, any questions, any engagement, you can ask right on the spot and get your questions answered. So that's what's really cool about this platform. So once again, holding that club, here's the test you want to do. You hold it in your left hand, you take those three fingers off, and let that club be supported like that. And that lets you know it's powerful. Now, here's the question about your right hand. How do I put my right hand on the club? Well, that's easy. The two pads right here, the bottom joint knuckles on your right hand, they fit underneath the shaft. And I don't care if you overlap, if you interlock your grip, or a baseball style grip. In fact, I went to the baseball style grip about 2 years ago, and I promise you I added about 7 yards to my drive. Nothing crazy, but I just felt like, I was coaching my son baseball, and I just felt like, when I go to swing a bat, I have so much more strength and feel power holding the club that way that I decided to do that with golf, and lo and behold, extra distance. So experiment with that a little bit too if you want to roll your hands much more like a baseball, holding a baseball bat than interlocking. Because I thought, why would I hit a baseball, if I want to hit as far as I could, hold the bat like that or hold the bat like that? If I got as much control with the golf club holding it this way, I felt like I had more strength and more power. So right hand, 2 pads underneath the shaft and wrap around. And that's how I want to do it. Let me hit some shots for you, how I'm going to hold this club. And this is such, the test that I showed you is what's really easy that you can do is when you're out on the range or practicing, before I hit a shot, I'm just going to hold the club up parallel to the ground like that, right? Wrap my 3 fingers around. Here we go. And I can do that. What you want to do, if you're changing your grip, I'll give you a tip too if you're changing your grip. You don't want to keep your grip and roll balls over this way. Take your hands off the golf club. The more you take your hands on and off the golf club, the more practice you get at gripping it correctly. Get set up in my shot here. Hold the club parallel to the ground. My right hand is going to go underneath. There we go. So get an idea of, once again, having that the strongest part of your hand is this left hand, this meaty part. You put that on top of the shaft, right? And then I know that that's a lot of strength right there. If it's incorrect, remember it's going to slide. It's going to slide out down this way versus having it on top of the shaft. That's what you want for total power. And then your right hand underneath the club that way. Remember, I got this, I was kind of inspired to do this today by reading the Troy Merritt story about how he just changed this little simple thing in a setup that helped him win the tour event. And I thought, here's a PGA Tour player, and we're expecting him to come out with all this, this great technical reason of why he won the golf tournament. It was the simplest of adjustments. And that made me again think about, okay, how can we be simple with a tip about, holding the golf club? It's the only part of your body that touches the club, and it's the most important part that you want to have in getting solid contact, consistent ball flight, and power. It's the last link of the chain, if you will, in all this sequence that you use in your lower body, in your upper body. It's the last link of the chain that's on the club that you need to make sure is on there properly. You can have everything timed in a great sequence in delivering the club, but if your grip is on there in a weak position, you won't be able to deliver it with the ultimate speed and power that you could. So having that grip on there, once again, this is the test. Can I take these 3 fingers off and hold the club parallel to the ground like this and just sit there and let it rest comfortably under here and in my forefinger? Versus most people have it too weak and the grip starts to slide out of their hands. The weight is being pulled down to the ground that way. Those 3 fingers across over that way. Okay? Great. So hey, thank you for tuning in. If you have any questions, let me know. I'll be coming to you with more tips, tricks to help you and your golf game from iFit Golf. I'm Bobby Siravo. Thanks for joining.